Okay, so in this game, if you are a worker, I will tell you your type in chat. You will then, at some point, decide how much education are you going to get. And you have 5 choices. You could stick with a high school education. That costs you nothing. It's free for everybody. You get this high school education. You can get an associate's degree, which is free for some of the. You should think of A as being the highest type and E as being the lowest type. It's always cheaper for people who have the better types. But associate's degree comes with some cost. A bachelor's degree comes with some cost, more cost. But once again, the costs are always increasing as you go to the right, because high school's at associate, bachelor's, master's, PhD. This has the property that's more and more schooling, the more to the right you go. And the farther down you are on this, A, B, C, D, or E, the higher the cost. And we should think of that as, I will admit, Joseph, we should think of that as people who have lower productivity, lower ability in the job market also have this property where it's more costly for them to get into a school and to succeed in this school and to graduate in higher education. And in fact, I made it, 200 is the maximum productivity here. So I didn't even write anything that was above 200, because that would just be the cost of education. It's like impossible for these types to get a PhD. It's impossible for type E to get a master's degree. Okay, so if you're a worker, I'll tell you your type. You will choose the amount of education. And that amount of education will be publicly known. Everybody will know what level of education you chose. It is also publicly known that these productivities here correspond to these types directly, right? I'll write it here again, A, B, C, D, E. So if you are a type A, you have a productivity of 200. If you are type B, you have a productivity of 160, C 120, D 80, E 60, like this. And that is why firms want to hire you. Because if a firm hires you, they get to enjoy the benefits of your productivity. And the only downside for a firm for hiring you is that they have to pay you a wage. In fact, I've made it as simple as possible to calculate the payoffs of the firm. It's simply the productivity of the worker minus the wage of that worker. In other words, if I have a type A worker, their productivity is 200. I'll put this here, like a type A worker. You can see the productivity is 200. If I give that person a wage of 145, say, that means the firm gets this benefit of 55 just from that worker. You've made $55 of profit or units of profit from that worker. If, however, you had given a wage of 145 to like a type D worker, like maybe the person you thought was type A, but they're actually type D, that means their productivity is only 80. Oh, by the way, their education cost, depends on what they got. If they were type D, maybe they got a bachelor's. I don't know. Say that's 20. As a firm, you could lose money on a worker. If you give them a wage that's above their productivity, you actually lose money on that worker. So what I would like is people who are willing to play this game and take risks as the firm. You actually can make a lot of money as the firm in this game, because if you are pretty conservative with your wages, right? If you can manage to hire people at as low wage as possible, you could earn, even from a type D worker who only has a productivity of 80. What if you gave that person a wage of 65? You can still make money on a type D worker. Understand that? Do you understand how these payoffs are calculated? So I have the firm payoff here. That's wage No, productivity minus wage is the firm payoff. Whereas the worker's payoff is simply their wage minus the cost of their education. So if you're a worker, what would you like to do? You would like to have spend as little on education cost as possible, but still get the highest wage you can. This whole game is an example of a question of, does education provide a signal to the market for your ability? Do we have a reason to get educated, even if it doesn't make us more productive? So this productivity is fixed. If I know your type, A, B, C, D, or E, I know your productivity. Going to school doesn't make you more productive in this game. And the question is, what I want to see is, are people still willing to get some education, even knowing that it's not going to make them more productive, because they think it'll help them in the labor market? And the labor market is going to be you guys deciding what to do. So I'm wondering who we should have as our firms. These are actually sort of the most important thing in this game are the firms. We need people who are definitely paying attention to the game and who want to make as much profit and profit as they can by keeping wages as low as they can. Of course, they still want to hire people. Oh, by the way, because there's more than one firm, if you offer really low wages, the other firm can hire those people from you and you won't get them. In other words, if you want to make money, you have to offer a wage that's large enough to attract the worker, but you shouldn't offer a wage that's so high that you lose money on that worker. And essentially, you'll be sort of trying to figure out their productivity. You'll be trying to guess their productivity. Obviously, you never want to give anybody a wage over 200. If you gave anybody a wage over 200, you're simply losing money on that person, even if they're the best possible type. So don't even, I mean, it's ridiculous to have a wage that high, but even if, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to see what happens when you guys play this game. So is anybody interested in being a firm right now? In actually being the one who's going to actively hire people to work at their firm. Does anybody want to do that?
I can do that.
You want to do it, Miha? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you have a good understanding of this game?
Yeah, I think so.
If you think somebody is a type C, for example, you definitely don't want to pay them more than 120. You'd like to pay them as little as possible, but if you offer them a wage of 10, they're probably not going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because 10 is just too low. In fact, maybe I should say everybody can have an outside option. If they end up not getting hired, you can have an outside option of, let's say, 20, right? Maybe. Okay, so I should put that there. So the worker payoff is actually the maximum of 20 and this value. Okay. I pressed enter. Why didn't you? What's happening? Bill, it's being very slow. There we go. All right. So workers have this. It's called an outside option because it means if I don't get hired, if nobody's willing to hire me, what happens to me? Well, you can still have a outside option of 20. We'll say that. 20 isn't that good, I would say, because you're worth a lot more than that in terms of productivity, right? You can be making $200 for a firm, or 160 or 120, somewhere in here. The average here is like over 100 is the productivity on average. And somebody should be willing to offer you a wage that's much higher than 20. 20 is like a bare minimum, if you like, just simply for some reason you're not playing and no one wants to hire you or something, you get that. So Mihawk, I'm going to say you are the name of this firm here. In fact, I'm gonna put your name here because you're gonna be the one. If you hire this person at a productivity 80 and a wage of 65, your payoff there is 15. And then we can just add this up. You'll actually get paid for every worker. If you hire 10 people and they all make you, a profit of 15, you get that whole sum of those points, 15 times 10, 150. You could actually earn a ton of points in this game.
Yeah.
It's good to be the worker, the firm, I think, if you make good decisions. But I do need another worker. Is somebody else willing to, another firm. You need another firm if somebody's willing to be it. Anybody else want to be? I'm telling you, you can earn a lot of points here if you're a firm. Bad news if nobody's willing to do it.
I can do it. No
Can you do it, Hala?
Yeah.
Do you understand the game?
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah. Like if you thought somebody was type A, you might be willing to give them a lot of money. You would never give them 200 of a wage, but like if you hired somebody who's type A at a wage of 120, you're still making a lot of money on that person, right? 80 points. But if you gave somebody a wage of 120 and it turned out they were type D or E, then you would be losing money on that person. So it's in your interest as firms to hire the most productive people you can at the lowest wage possible. And Mihawk and Hala will be able to offer anybody a wage. And I'm just because they offer you a wage doesn't mean they've hired you. I will wait until I have mutual agreement by the firm and the worker that yes, I want to be hired. Joseph, you're looking at me. So if Joseph gets an offer from Mihawk of a wage of 40 and an offer from Hala at a wage of 55, it's up to him to tell me I'm going to work for Hala at a wage of 55, and I'll put that information in my spreadsheet. And at the end, we'll calculate everything. Does that make sense?
Do we have to contact everyone individually, like through Zoom?
So I think you should use chat, and I will help with this because various people will play and maybe some people won't. So the people that are listening to this, you get to play, but only if you chat. Only if you chat me now and say, I would like to play. If you don't chat me, then I'm assuming you're not responsive and you won't be playing. And someone like Mihawk also won't be able to contact you, and therefore you just simply won't get the points for this class today. Okay, so for everybody who said that they like to play and who aren't Mihawk or Hala, what I'm going to do is randomly assign you a type, and I will direct message you that type starting now. And the way I'll do it is just go through the chat, and everybody who says they're willing to play, I'm actually, for my own purposes, going to write it down here just so I have easy access to everyone. I'll say your name out loud. I have first Charlotte, then Peter, and then Fabria, then Mackenzie says she wants to play. Christina. Female attendance is high this class. Matt. And James. Philip is gonna play. All you guys will be workers, and I want to make sure you understand how the game works. Jacob and Dorian. And Joseph. I think that's it. Jacob, didn't you say I'm in twice? You don't get to play twice just because you said I'm in twice. Camila is playing, and Tony also. I think that's everybody. Okay. So everybody who chatted me that message, I will chat you back a randomly determined. And so I'm not even gonna, there's a randomization procedure, which I'm I'm not going to reveal what the procedure is.
I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What does education do for the workers outside of subtract from like the money they make?
That's the great question. That's the whole point of this whole game. And I want to tell you everything about it right now, but I sort of think it will defeat the purpose of the game if I tell you too much. I'm sorry, who said that? Philip?
Yeah.
Philip, great question. I will, in fact, I will highlight your question for the class. Philip just asked, what's the point of getting education if the only thing it does, let's put you in here, Philip, okay? Philip, you're going to be a guinea pig. Let's say that let's say you're type, I don't know, C, which means your productivity will be 120. Here is your payoff here. It is simply C3, C minus D column, the wage minus your education cost. The higher educational cost, okay, you're type C. If you get the bachelor's degree, if you get a high school degree, you get 0, your payoff will be 65. You're type C. If you get a bachelor's degree, your educational cost will be 10. How come it doesn't change when I click on it? There you go. Your payoff will go down. It'll be 55. If you get a master's degree, remember you're type C. So I forgot that you have this. Should I make this? This is like a safety net now. It's actually not what I meant. So I might want to change this. I meant for this to be an outside option if you don't get hired. But if you do get hired and at a wage of 65 and you've paid this educational cost of 80, you would actually have a negative payoff there because your wage, which is only 65, is less than what you paid for your education of 80. So I kind of think that won't come up that often because why would you take a job? I have to think about this outside option. Is it all right if I sort of delete it for now? Who cares? It creates some strange incentives. Like you can, I want you to have to pay the cost of education if it happens. All right. Sorry guys, let me get rid of the outside option. If you don't get education, then I will give you that outside option. This Phil. But if you choose to get a big education, this is like, should I forgive your student loans? That's like this question here. You have this giant student loan of 80, and the best wage you can get in the market is 65. You simply lose that money. You lose those points, negative 15. That's a bad thing for you to do. It's costly. Okay. I will give, maybe some welfare to people who have really bad outcomes in this market, but I still want you to think of as those, I'm still not going to forgive all your student loans. Don't take out a big, huge student loan expecting Bernie Sanders to become president, and then you don't have to pay your student loans anymore. Okay, I'm not Bernie Sanders. So Philip, great question. Why should you get education if all it does is lower your cost? And the answer has to be, maybe there's some benefit in education in terms of your salary, in terms of your wage. And whether or not there is, it depends entirely on what Mihak and Hala do. So this is the Mihak Corporation over here. Why is it when I click on this, nothing happens? It's just slow. The Mihak Corporation. And over here, this is the Hala Corporation. You guys are big business people, and I will write the names of your workers down here. Okay, Philip, you're not actually working for Mihak, at least not yet. But did I answer your question? Your question was why should you get education if all it does is cost you points and it doesn't gain you any productivity? That's the debate. That's what Michael Spence won a Nobel Prize to try to explain. But I want to see what happens when we do it in this class. And so while I would love to give you tell you this is why exactly this will happen and exactly this will happen, I don't think I should do that because it will sort of spoil the results of what we're about to do, which is, I think, somehow more important. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So are we allowed to know their level of education, or is that something we don't know either?
You do. You will know their level of education.
Okay.
In fact, this is perhaps the simplest answer to Philip's question was, why should I get education? It's because Mihawk and Hala will see what level of education you chose. If you chose just to get a high school education, they will see that. And they might factor that into how much wage they're willing to offer you. Now, they might just give you a giant wage because they feel like it. I really hope they don't. I hope you guys try to like make as much money as you can. You know, really think of this as your corporate bigwigs and you're trying to earn a lot of profit. But that'll make the game go better if you think of it that way. Okay. And Mihawk, you don't want Hala to steal all of your workers. Hala, you don't want Mihawk to steal all of your workers. You want to compete for them. So the two of you represent competition in the market for workers. That's what you represent. The workers represent the pool of available workers who have different abilities. I decided to give you 5 possible different abilities. And there's also 5 possible different levels of education. And you don't really know who's going to get what education, but that's the game, is for you to think about, okay, here's a guy who had this much education. What should I give him as a wage? Okay. And everybody all of the workers who I'm sorry, I still haven't chatted to you your, okay, so I'm going to send you what your type is. Okay, so don't tell this to anybody, but I am going to send you now through chat a direct message of what your type is. So and it's random. I'm not gonna. I'm putting the word type in, but I think I'm just gonna send a letter. Okay, the letter will be your type. Okay, so in just a second, I will have sent everybody their letters. I apologize if you're a low type. Oh, by the way, I will say this: they're even, as even as I could make it. Okay, so this matters for the firms. The firms are thinking, well, I wonder who's out there. Everyone was equally likely to be A, B, C, D, or E. Just so you know, this is called, in economics, this is called the unconditional expectation of productivity of the workforce. Even knowing nothing about them, you should still have some idea what, on average, how productive they are. Okay, so everyone who I've given I'm still sending them out, but everyone I'm giving it to, you should think very carefully about how much education you want to get, because you will know your type, you will be able to see how much each level of education costs you. You should think to yourself, like, how much is it worth it for me to get this much education? And then you can once you've decided, you can chat it back to me. Okay, I think I've sent everybody their type. Has anybody who wants to play not got a type? Everyone who's playing should have a type. Okay, so I'm getting some answers now. I'm going to, okay, Mackenzie sent me, Matt sent me. Oh, it's coming in fast. You guys are quick decision makers. Christina sent me. Charlotte sent me. Peter, Dorian, Jacob. Philip. I should have said that you could make this public because this actually is public. I almost want you to do it again and make it public, but you know what? I will make it public just by saying what you are. Tony. I think I've gotten all except for James and Camilla. Camilla, you just asked me, what do we send you? You need to just, on your own, think about how much education do I want to get? You should know that you're going to participate in a labor market where the firms, they can't tell your true level of ability. I don't want you to say what your ability is. I'm sorry, your type. Don't say your type, but you will be able to tell them what level of education you got. And in fact, I will make that public in case like you didn't want to say, I'm still going to say. So Camila, you have to decide how much education you get. And this chart here sort of tells you what the cost is. You know, the higher the cost, the more you'll have to pay for your education, of course. But okay. James, did you say anything? You maybe kicked out of the game if you haven't said anything. No, he said something. All right. I got stuff for everyone. Okay. The game is afoot. No, it's not a game. The game is a labor market, not afoot. Okay. Let's get some interaction between Mihak and Hala and these workers, because they are going to decide. And you know what? You two are free to privately chat anybody and like offer them a wage. But I should have told you to make your level of education public. By the way, nobody got a PhD. Nobody got a PhD. There are. I will say what the levels of education were. There's six master's graduates. There's two bachelors, 1, 2, 3, 4 associates, and 1 high school. Okay, so that's what you have. That's the pool of employees you have to choose from. Mihak and Hala is people with master's degrees, bachelor's, associates, and 1 high school degree person. Okay. Now, does anybody want to ask for a job? If you're a worker, you can unmute yourself and say, don't say your type. Even if you do say your type, I'm not going to believe you, but you can say your level of education, and I can confirm that you actually did get that level of education. Let's see. Should I pick someone? Charlotte. So Charlotte wants a job. She has a master's degree. Would anybody be willing to hire Charlotte for Mihak? Hala, do you have a wage offer for Charlotte, given that she has a master's degree? You can think about, oh, by the way, you see how this was impossible? I should have checked to make sure nobody got something that was impossible. None of the PhDs. So I have to make sure that there were no E's that got a master's degree. And that is true. So nobody picked an impossible level of education. So Charlotte, who got a master's degree, you know she's not type E. It's impossible for her to be type E. So her productivity is at least 80. Do you actually think that somebody who is type D would get a master's degree if it cost them 200? Probably not. Probably not. So Charlotte, Mackenzie also wants a job. Charlotte, Mihak and Hala, have you made any wage offers to Charlotte?
I'm in the process now. I'm getting back to a few people.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
getting back to all the people.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right now the work, Mihak and Hala, you have a lot of work to do, which is think about how much you want to hire these people and for what wages. You don't know what their cost of education was. right? So Charlotte, Charlotte, you were the first one to talk, so I'm going to use you as an example. It's really like impossible for you to be type D. If you were type D, you'd be like guaranteed losing money. Because I said wages can't be over 200, so you'd be guaranteed losing money if you did that. But she could be type A, B, or perhaps C. You know her productivity has got to be at least 120. And you as a firm, you think about how valuable is she to your firm. You might want to give her a substantial wage above 120. Like if Hala, you only offer her 120, I would think Miha could say, oh yeah, well, I'll give you 125. And for someone with a master's degree like that, I would think you'd be willing to pay 125. Maybe you'd be willing to pay 130, 140, 150. It all depends on what you think about her productivity. I'm just using her because I'm talking about Charlotte now, who had a master's degree. So what should you do?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if someone offers you a wage, can you ask for a higher one?
Yes.
Okay.
Workers, you shouldn't just sit there, do nothing. You should bargain for a wage. And you can say what you're, so what I don't want you to do is lie about your education. So if that happens, you won't get your points. You shouldn't mention your type, because that's just against the spirit of the game to say what your type is. And even if you did say, you might be lying. But I definitely don't want you to lie about your education. So if you make it public, I think that's good, because then I can see what you did and I can verify you're not lying. I should have made it public in the first place. I didn't clarify that. The Bliha has got an associate's. She wants a job. Jacob has an associate's degree. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to list right now to everybody who had the highest level of education, and that's the master's. Charlotte, Christina, Matt, Dorian, Joseph, and Camilla. These are people who've gotten master's degrees. So, and nobody got a PhD. I mean, I got a PhD, but none of you all got PhDs. So you should be thinking of Hala and Mihak. You should probably be thinking of this group of people that I just showed you. Charlotte, Christina, Matt, Dorian, Joseph, Camilla. Those are the highest educated people out there. And I don't want to tell you what to do. You tell me. By the way, once you get mutual agreement, can you please send a message to me? Once somebody says, you offer them a wage and they say, I'll take it. Once you have that agreement, please tell me. I'm the record keeper now. I want to record all of the wages of the people. No one's agreed on a wage yet?
I'm messaging you right now.
Yeah. I'm asking the workers too. Have any workers been offered a wage that they accept? That you say, yes, I'll take that wage.
I've been offered, but I asked for something else.
Okay. And you know what? That's good, Joseph. If you're a worker and you're offered a wage and you don't want to accept it, don't accept it. Okay, so Hala and Philip have an agreement. You don't have to make it. You can make this public if you want. If you don't have to, but Hala and Philip have an agreement for 70. Is that okay, Philip?
Yes.
Okay, I'm writing you down in the Hala Corporation. Philip, I will write your wage of 70. I'm going to leave your education cost and productivity blank until we let this go for a while. I don't want to influence people. Oh, but by the way, you know what I will say is what your education level was. I'll just put that by your name. Philip, you had high school, right?
Yes.
Okay. So even with just the high school diploma, you got a wage of 70. Maybe that's good. It cost you nothing. So actually, we know what Philip's. We actually know what your educational cost is because you went to high school. It's definitely 0. And you made a payoff of 70. Congratulations, Philip. Anybody else have a wage that they accepted? Don't sell yourself short. Ask for a high wage. Although, you know, have any of the big 6 Charlotte, Christina, Matt, Dorian, Joseph, Camilla. Those are the big six with the master's degrees. Have any of them been hired yet?
No.
You six with the master's degrees, you shouldn't, don't accept a wage of 70. That's what high school diploma guys are getting. You better ask for more than 70. I'm curious, like what's happening? What's happening now?
I have
I haven't heard back.
accepted an offer,
You have? Who are you?
Jacob,
Jacob.
with my associates. And now that I'm seeing the high school, Phillips, maybe went too low, but 54 with Mihawk
Jacob?
firm. Mhm.
All right. You got a wage of 54. And Jacob had an associate degree. Oh, wait, what is that called? It's not a, how do you abbreviate associate? I don't want to put a double S after the A. I just, no. Associate degree, AD, what is it called? I know bachelor's is like a BS or a BA. AS? Associates of Science, is that what it like stands for? I'll just put AS. We know what that means. We're all scientists here, we're like AS, BS, MS, those types of degrees. What does your associate cost? Okay, so if you were type E, it would cost you 20. If you're type D, it would cost you 10. Otherwise, it'll cost you 0, Jacob. So I'm going to wait a while to put that in until we get some more answer. The reason is, I'm not just being coy. The more people whose types you find out about, the more it tells you about who's left. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say all the type E's and all the type D's were gone, then you know who's left is A, B, and C. And I don't want Mihawk and Mahala to have that extra information. It might influence the wages in an unfair way. Anybody else have an agreement? I want to know what the big six are getting.
I just got one offer and haven't heard back. So
Yeah, I'm sure they're being flooded with requests.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just handling it all. Give me a
Yeah,
second,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. And hopefully they tell you what their degree is. If they lie about their degree, then they're in trouble and they don't get their points. But you can see it on this public thing, on the public chat too. Everyone I think on the public chat has told the truth.
Okay, I got 2 deals finalized, one with Mackenzie and another one with Fabliha.
Okay,
Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly.
I probably pronounced it incorrectly. Well, I apologize. Mackenzie had an associate's. I just want an associate degree. And Fabliha, what does she have? Also an associate. You like to hire people with associate degrees, huh?
It just happened. I'm just hiring people.
Yeah, what were their wages? Mackenzie, what wage did you accept? You around?
62.
62, okay. Fablia, what wage did you get?
60.
I didn't hear, 80?
60.
60, okay, thanks. This is right, Mihawk? Gosh, she's busy. Okay, so, with a wage of 60 or 54, at least she can't lose money on you, right? The worst you could be is type E. Mackenzie, if Mackenzie happens to be type E, then Mihawk will lose 2 points on her, but I guess that's not too big of a penalty. So far, people with the lower educations are the ones being hired. Oh, Charlotte just said she accepted 166 from Hala. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's the first big ticket person. Charlotte with a master's, 166. That means if she's either B or C, you're gonna lose a little bit of points. But if she's an A, if she's type A, you will actually earn some points from her. So who hasn't been hired yet?
Also, if I haven't messaged you, can you please message me because I'm juggling with a lot of things. Can you please message me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can help as a clearinghouse. And if nobody wants to be hired anymore, if you're like, yeah, I'm good, then I'll, give you your outside option. But the people who are in this market tend to get more points than 20 for sure. Charlotte definitely will, unless she spent 200 on her masters, which I don't think she did. She's going to earn quite a healthy profit from this. There's 5 other people with master's degrees out there. The 2 with bachelors are Peter and James. Does anybody want me to help get them hired? Joseph, what's your best wage? I'll help you get hired if you want.
I, at 167 right now.
You got a wage of 160 from whom?
No. Like I haven't been accepted yet.
Oh, but did somebody offer you that wage?
The highest is 165.
Who offered you that?
Mihawk.
Mihawk, 165. Hala, are you willing to go higher than 165 for him?
Yeah, I'll do 166.
160. Will you accept her?
Wait,
Mihawk,
what's your degree? Can you say that again?
he's a
Masters.
master's.
Oh, okay. 170, that maximum.
Yeah, I'll take
He'll offer you 170.
Yeah, I'll take 170.
Okay, we got Joseph hired. Is that okay? He said he would take it, so I'm going to go by that. Joseph, master's, wage 170. Holy cow, getting education really paid off there, didn't it? I mean, what's the difference between these 3, Jacob, Mackenzie, Fabliha, and Joseph? You don't actually know what their types are. They might all be type C, right? You could have somebody who's type C and is like, well, I don't want to spend 10 on a bachelor's, 8 on a master's. I'll just get an associate, and they're type C. Whereas Joseph, he could be like, well, I'm type C, but I'm going to try to get a master's to try to fool you into thinking that I'm high ability. Joseph could be type C. It could be that both Fabliha and Joseph are type C. And Joseph, who paid an extra 80 points to get a master's degree, actually that paid off because his wage went way up. And we just were talking about this. Why would you get education if it's like a waste of time? If you're a type C and you got a master's, holy cow, you got a way higher wage than if you didn't. That's just an interesting thing that happened in this game. Oh, Matt, you accept 165 from Mihawk? Yeah, Mihawk, is that finished? Matt, I like this. I want to get these on here.
I accepted 170 from
Who's
Mihawk.
talking?
Christina.
Christina. Okay, from which one?
Mihawk.
Wow, Mihawk's getting them all.
When I offered Joseph 170, that's when problems started happening. I mean, I almost got things done below 170, but when I offered Joseph 170, okay,
Yeah,
it's good. Bad.
yeah. So Christina, what'd you take
170.
from Mihawk? You don't have to pay her 170. Do you want to pay her 170, Mihawk? This should be mutually agreed upon. I'm wondering, did you actually agree on this?
I did. Okay, the deal is done now. I cannot refuse from my
all
own
right.
words. Yeah,
Fine.
I have to maintain my reputation of being a good employer.
But here's what I want every hiring to be mutually agreed upon. Okay, like it can't be like, well, actually, no, I didn't want to hire you at that, and I did. I don't want you to like change your off. Who knows? I mean, we can all sort of agree on maybe like the gentleman's agreement where what should be done here, but I still just don't want it to be.
Yeah, I'm okay with the
forced.
current deals right now.
Okay. Anybody else who wants a job? We can't let this go on forever. If you don't have a job yet, you might just be unemployed. And you'll have to.
I'd like a job.
Who's
James.
talking?
James?
Have you gotten any offers yet, James?
No, I haven't.
Who's willing to hire James? He has a bachelor's degree. Will you give him 100 a wage of 100, Mihawk?
Can I message him privately? Just a minute.
I'm trying to hurry it. I'm trying to get it concluded.
He has a bachelor's, right?
He's got a bachelor's. James has a bachelor's. Would you take 100, James?
Yeah, I took 100.
You take 100. Then we want to offer him 100.
What about 80?
Hollow.
I'll give him 100.
Hollow will give you 100. James, do you want it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay.
what about 100 and
I don't know. You offered him 80. You
No.
offered him 80, Mihawk.
105? I
James.
can change my offer.
Okay, but I asked you for 100. You said no, and Hala said yes. I feel like, in the interest of time, we should
Okay,
take the person
okay.
who's saying yes.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
And
that's
just for
fine.
the,
All right.
for the sake of
He'll
time,
take 100.
Tony, can you type what education level were you? Because I can't go back and
Tony's associate. You can
Um,
always ask me too. I have it written down.
Can you go up on your screen, Professor, just a little bit? so I
Oh,
can-
sorry. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, thank you for telling me to do that. Who else doesn't have it? Who else can I help? Dorian, you don't have an offer yet?
I have an offer. I'm waiting to see if I get a counter offer.
What's your offer?
170 from Mihawk.
Hala, will you give her more than 170?
And she has her master's.
She's got a master's, yeah.
Yes.
But like I said, it could be number C. She could be C
I don't think
and get a master's, which is 80, which would still be worth it because look how much more you get with the master's. And then if you give her 170, you actually lose 50 points on her.
Yeah, I think she should. She can stick with Mahak. I don't think I'm gonna.
Mihawk, you want to hire her for 170?
No, I guess I'm done with 170. Sorry.
She
I'm
doesn't
not
want.
hiring
She doesn't
170.
want 170 anymore.
All
You should have
right.
accepted at 170. The
Well,
offer is now off the
I'll give her
table.
110.
What?
I'll give her 110.
You'll give Dorian 110?
Yeah, if she takes it.
I don't think she'll take it. Dorian, will you take 110?
No. Mihawk, what is
First of
your
all, you don't know what
What
Dorian.
about 120? Okay, 125. If you have a master's degree, 125.
I can give.
I don't know. That
Come on,
seems a
guys.
little low. Mihawk, we almost agreed to 170 and now you're down to 125.
Yeah, because I've already invested in people with 170, and I don't want. If you turn out to be
How
a
about-
type C, then
How
it
about
could be a big
150? How about
loss.
150? Will anyone hire Dorian at 150? Mihawk and Hala, neither of you will take 150?
Because I think Camila and Dorian, they both have master's degree and they both want something. So I feel like I'd have to go with one or the other, but I don't know, 150 is good.
I'm just trying to get you guys to agree on anything at this point. No one wants to hire Dorian for 150?
What
I'll-
about 140, Dorian?
I'll offer her the 150 if she takes it.
All right,
Oh.
I'll take your 150.
Okay. We got an agreement here. Who else hasn't agreed on anything yet? Joseph, yeah, you're there. Camila, Tony hasn't agreed. Tony, do you want a job? You don't have to take a job if you don't want to. You get an outside option of 10. I'm 20, I meant 20. So who hasn't?
I think I just agreed with Tony. I just
What, Tony? What are you gonna take, Tony?
gave me an offer and I accepted. He said 50. Okay, yeah, he said 50.
Okay, so Tony, you hire, he had an associate's degree and he'll take 50?
Oh wait,
I think the
no.
market is falling here. Charlotte, Peter, do you want a job? If you don't accept an offer, I'm gonna give you your outside option of 20.
Yes, I'm looking for a job.
Well, if you don't take one in the next 2 minutes, you get your option of 20.
Okay, I'm just going through some options at the moment.
Okay.
Who is this? Speaking?
Oh, it's Peter?
Peter, okay.
He's got a bachelor's degree.
He's a bachelor's. Sorry, can you go back up a little bit, Professor? Sorry.
Tony. Oh, Camila doesn't have one yet. All right, so it's just Camila and Peter that we're waiting on. So you guys have like a minute left if you want to accept an offer. Maybe you should just accept whatever offer has been given to you, but time's running out. If you don't accept an offer, that's okay. I'll just give you. Oh wait.
I just worked it out.
If you don't accept an offer, you can have the outside option of 20. Are we good?
Let me see.
Peter, do you want an offer? Do you want to accept something?
Yep, I just accepted an offer from Mihawk for 78.
Thank you. And you have a bachelor's. 78. Okay. Last one is Camila. Can we be done?
I'll do the Camila. I can do the 145 if you want to do that.
She has a master's degree.
Yeah, she sent me an offer. I don't know if she still wants.
You want to offer her 145?
Yeah, that's what she asked for. And at first I countered, but I'll take the 145.
Okay. Is that okay, Camila? 145 for Hala.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're done. Whew. Let's show you what everyone's productivity was. And so right here, you can see your productivity not knowing their what happened? Did I do something? Okay, this is just right. Okay, Jacob, he is a D. So his productivity is 80. And his cost of education of associate degree is 10. How come this isn't working? This is not the right formula. B14 minus C13. Oh, okay. This should be this minus productivity minus wage. How about that? There we go. You earned 26 points on him. Is this right? And Jacob, you made 44 points. Good job, both of you. Mackenzie, you were also type D. So you also have 80 and a cost of 10, right? Because you also got an associate's degree. Okay. Fablia, you were type E. So your productivity is 60. And you got an associate, your cost of education was 20. Okay, so you still made a payoff of 40 and you didn't cost Mihawk anything. Joseph, you were type A. You got productivity 200. Your education was master's. That only cost you 10. Only cost you 10 to get that.
That 170 paid off.
Yeah. Matt, you also were type A. Master's cost you 10. Christina, you were type B. Your productivity is 160. Your education cost is 30. Okay, and Peter, you were type C. You have 120 productivity, and you got a bachelor's. Type C bachelor's cost you 10. So let's look at the worker payoffs. The workers all made a pretty big payoff here. Of course, the people with higher types made a higher payoff. And actually, Mihawk, you earned money on everybody except Christina. But you made, let's see what your total earnings were. Equals sum of these things. Wow, 141. You didn't quite make as much as Joseph, but you did make a lot of points there. Pretty good, 141. Good job, Mihawk. Next, let me move this over here. We have.
I made more than the boss.
You made more than the boss. Yeah, you gave.
Technically.
You gamed that system. You got a really high wage. Okay, what do we have here? Philip, his productivity is 60 because he was type E. He had no education cost though, so he actually made a lot of money. He made 70. Hala, you lost 10 points on Philip. Charlotte, she was type A, that's 200. She got a master's, that only cost her 10. These high ability people can get masters for so cheap. James, type C, you're 120. You got a bachelor's degree, that cost you 10. Dorian, you were B, Your productivity is 160. You got a master's that cost you 30. Oh, you still made a lot of money, 120. Well done. Tony, you were type E. 60 associate's degree. I think that associate's degree cost you 20. Okay, Camilla probably is type C, so that's 120. All right, and she got a master's. So that actually was pretty costly for her. She cost her 80, but you know what? She still made 65. She earned a lot there. I think Hala, you're probably not going to do as well. You only made 39 points. You lost some money on some people, but most of the time you made something. I still appreciate the work that you that you firms had to do. You had to accept all these offers and go through them and accept the ones that you wanted. Okay, but Mihak, I guess maybe you got a little bit lucky by getting some of those type A people to be on your firm. All right. So looking at what happened, I am curious now at how wages depend on education. And let's bring it back to the model of the signaling model of education. So I'm going to ask you about this, like on a quiz, and what is the signaling model of education? And it's what happened here it's what happened, because there was never any reason to spend money on education except for the signal that it sended to the the firms, the managers, who might assume that because you had a higher level of education, you were a higher productivity type. I'm kind of surprised nobody got a PhD. Did anybody think about getting a PhD? If you were type A, it only cost you 30 to get a PhD, but nobody got it.
I didn't, because it was an extra $20.
Yeah, but think of how solid that signal would have been if you got a PhD, wouldn't it? Maybe it wouldn't have been worth it, though. I actually don't know. It depends on what the firms do. Matt, you thought about it, but you ultimately decided not to get a PhD because you just didn't think it was going to be worth it. That's what it seems like. Okay. But what are the takeaways that I want you to get is that what if we lived in a world where all of this education was free? It was all zero. Would that make us better off? And like, let's say everybody got the highest possible education. Everybody was getting PhDs, all types. What would happen to wages in this case?
They would decrease.
Pardon?
I just said that they would decrease because since everyone has the same degree, then I mean, it would make.
Well, so let's look at the wages. Some people, the lowest wage was a 50. The highest was a 170. So everyone's getting these different wages between 50 and 170. I think if everybody had the same education, whatever it was, the people with low wages, like 50, they would probably go up, wouldn't they? You'd be willing to offer them more than 50 or 54 or 62. But the people with the highest wages, highest wages, their wages would go down, I think. It's because that signal was valuable to you as the employer. You thought of it as meaningful. And the people with master's degrees, they just earned more than people with lesser degrees. And okay, what if now we think of these 5 types not just as how many years do you spend getting school, but the quality of your school too. I didn't put that dimension on here, but I could have made, every, community colleges and I don't know, however you think VCU gets put in there, or the University of Virginia, or William and Mary, or private schools, I don't know, University of Richmond and Duke, who's in North Carolina, and Harvard and Ivy League schools. It's actually, the signaling is really rich, isn't it? about all these, you don't just choose how much school you get, you choose what type of school you get. What if school, the tuition becomes zero and it becomes, we sort of take away some of the differences in the cost of education, and then more people are getting the same level of education. Let's have this debate next class on Tuesday about what happens when public school tuition is paid for by the government. You'd assume that more people would go to school, right? In fact, you know, some of these type D or type E types, if bachelor's was zero all around, just 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, you would lose out on that signaling. People might be forced to get a master's and a PhD who didn't want to. Think about people who are type C. People who are type C, maybe they're fine with just a bachelor's degree. And in fact, I think that's what happened. Sorry, we had 3 type Cs, and they 2 of them got bachelor's degrees. You would think that this person who's a type C was getting a bachelor's degree, at least that separated them out from people who didn't get a bachelor's degree. But if these types D and E are also getting a bachelor's degree because you make it free, it's going to push them to have to get a master's, isn't it? When I say have to, I really mean if they want to get that higher wage, there's a premium for education. If they want to still stay ahead of that premium, at least ahead of all the people below them, that forces them. So this principle here that maybe you actually don't want everyone going to college, gaining all of these years of education, because it dampens, is the word, the signal. The signal has less information in it. By the way, do you want me to? We're running low on time, but I'm sort of curious if I could easily compute the average wages. We had masters, bachelor's, associate, and high school. I know what the average wage for high school was because there was only one person. Somehow they got a wage of 70. I think, Philip, with your high school wage of 70, you may have done better on average than the associate's degrees, who are, let me calculate that right now. These 3 and this, 226 over 40. That's not right. Over 4. Yeah, the average associate wage was only 56.5. So you actually got a higher wage on average with that was a function of the market hadn't equilibrated yet, right?
I wanted to make sure I got it in early when I got a high offer. So.
Yeah, and in Holly, right? I mean, we probably wouldn't normally give somebody with a high school degree more than the associate's degree. It was just the market had changed by that point. That's why you did it. I can understand that. Bachelor's wages were 78, 100, and isn't there a third bachelor degree? What? James, Peter, and oh no, there's only those 2. Sorry, so equals 178 over 2. 89. So your wage went up a little bit for the masters, and for the bachelors. For the masters, it's these 3, 4, 5, 6, 966 equals 966. Oh, that's not it. Equals 966 divided by 6. I'm sorry for this calculation. Whoa, 161. So this right here is the key, that there's this really strong relationship between how much education you get and what the average wages are. This is true regardless of your type. Remember, they don't know what your type is when you get this degree. I'm going to highlight it in yellow, right? They don't know what your type is. They can try to infer based on the signal that you send. But because of the strong positive relationship between education and wage that existed in this game, it's worth it for you to get education. Let's compare that to, I'm sorry, there's this video that I asked you to watch, and it's these 2. I'm going to stop sharing now. You guys have any more questions about this game? This is really what I wanted. I wanted these figures in yellow. The figures in yellow tell me what's the relationship between years of education and wage? And it's very positively correlated. Let's talk about the debate and the issue that we're gonna. I think it's Tuesday. So the next class we're gonna have a debate about whether education should be free, and I want you guys to be able to write about it. And of course, I haven't told you all of the nuances that go into this question. I decided basically I want to give you this one economic theory to be familiar with, and that's the theory of signaling that can inform your own opinion about whether public education should be free. In order to think about whether you think public education should be tuition free, you have to think about taxes, who's going to pay for it. You should think about what's this other question? Oh, the human capital. Are you familiar with this term, human capital? When economists say human capital, they don't mean like you're paying for humans or anything like that. It means all of the skills and abilities that you acquire over the course of your life, either through education or experience. Human capital is one reason people argue you should go to college. By going to college, you gain these skills that increase your human capital, and therefore they make you more productive. So I guess my suggestion to you as you're thinking of, by the way, are the debaters here? I'm sorry, I haven't memorized who's debating on Tuesday, but there should be two people who are going to prepare a debate for and against paying for education. You're not here? Dang. How hard is it for me to figure out who it was? Probably hard. I'd have to click a bunch of stuff. Yeah, let's not do that. But I'm sorry I don't have a lot of policy to tell you about here, because I don't think this is a big policy question. I think this is really about how you feel about the importance of higher education and whether or not government has a role in subsidizing it for everybody. And what we did today should just be a warning that says, if you're the type of person who thinks more education is better, everyone should go to college, everyone should get this a bachelor's degree. Think about what that does to the type C person. The type C person was like, yeah, I'll get a bachelor's degree. That's good enough for me to get a decent wage without, sort of separating it out from people who don't find it's worth it to get a bachelor's degree. If all of those people get bachelor's degree, the type C person is put in a harder position, right? Okay. Is there anything else I can help with this topic? I think I'm glad you guys got to play this game. I will transfer your points earned in this class I'll try to be as fair a way as possible. I think I may have to add some welfare to this game, because the people who were types A, B, A is the best, B and C, you guys had quite an advantage over the people who were types C, D, and E. So I hope you don't mind. After the fact, I'll probably add some sort of welfare to all the points that you got, you can still have. I'm not going to take away points, but I will maybe give some handout points to people who had a lower ability, just to make it, I think, more fair. But that's it. You guys have any questions about what's happening in this class? We won't have a quiz on Tuesday. If we have, our next quiz will be delayed at least until a week from today, Thursday. But I actually think it'll be the week after, because we have a quiz. I'm sorry, we have a debate Tuesday. We'll have another lecture Thursday, and then probably the quiz after that. Thanks for participating, guys. I got a little flustered here, guys. I thought we weren't gonna finish. That if no one can agree on a wage, then the game just comes to a halt. So I wanted to try to force you to agree on a wage. I didn't mean to do it in a mean or aggressive way. But thanks for playing. What did Tony say? It feels great outside. Highly recommend everyone play outside. I recommend that too. It's 75 here. Let's go play outside, everybody. Throw some frisbee around or something. Have a good weekend, guys. I will see you Tuesday, and we'll debate public education being free.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good
And thank you
weekend.
specifically to Mihawk and Hala. She's gone, but thank you for volunteering to be the firm. It was a lot of work you had to do, but you did a good job.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.